What is up, everybody? Svinson here, back with another MLB 9 innings video. I'm recording this part a little bit earlier in the week because the event just ended. SIG packs for that are out. I'd figure I'd open that for you guys. I also have a premium skill change ticket. Going to use that on Wainwright. Got to keep getting his skills better. So the first part of the video will be me doing that. Later part of the video, I'll do later this week, maybe tomorrow or the day after, do that AMA I talked about last time so that I can put out some content for you this week. Then the rest of the packs that you see in my inventory here, we will get to those next week, and I'll get back to my regularly scheduled Monday videos. So let's start with the premium skill change ticket. Actually, before I do this, let me go change his skill storage. So while I was away, I decided to use a premium skill change ticket from last week on him. I landed Dom and Untouchable, which is a great skill set. That being said, it's not the best. So I'm going to change it to my other one, try to roll a new and better skill set. And pretty much until I get a perfect skill set on him, I'm going to keep using these premium skill change tickets once a week. So maybe more if I get more. Here we go, Adam Wainwright. Let's see what we get. Control Artist, Dominant Pitcher, Iron Will. That is not better than my other set, but I will change to that because it's better than that skill storage. Okay, now for the fun part of the video. Signature player pack. Of course, we want a Cardinal. About 1 in 30 odds. Right? It's a gold. It is a pretty solid starting pitcher. And it's a Yankee. Oh, one of my friends, you already know that. My Yankees deck friend. I'm going to send this to him. He's going to be so angry. He's been searching for a starting pitcher SIG for a while. You know what? I think I got a Yankee out of my SIG pack last time. Maybe I should just start doing a Yankees deck. Let me go see this. Unless I comboed him away. He was a Yankees vintage, right? I don't see him. Oh, no, it's a Pirates vintage. But I have landed a Yankees vintage signature card, so... Well, that's going to be it for this part of the video, and I will be right back with the second part of this video. I am back and ready to do this AMA. Before I get started, I think it should also be pointed out, I did land a new FA, a new free agent. He was in the free agency last week. One of my subscribers actually told me he was there. That's Jason Isringhausen, 04. Huge fan of this card. I honestly think that his base overall should be a little bit higher. His velocity, his base velocity is a little on the lower side, but by stat distribution, because his stamina is so low, I think he's one of the better Cardinal relievers. So I'm just waiting to get him up to a little bit higher so I can sub him into my lineup. Probably will either replace John Gant or more likely will replace the legend himself, Joe Kelly. Because I think Ponce is here to stay. He has super high base stamina, but great training. I mean, look at that. It's one of the best trainings I've ever done. Matches up with his decent skill set. I guess I'll do some arcade mode, and while I do arcade mode, I'll just chit-chat and answer these questions. So, pitcher this week is Julio Teheran. I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm not very good at arcade mode. I can't hit a change-up to save my life, but we'll figure this out. We'll get it going. So let's start this question off with 9 innings player has asked, how much do you hate my favorite team, the Cubs?
If you hate them, why? And who is your favorite Cubs player and why? So, 9 innings player, I despise the Cubs. I have disliked them my entire life. No offense to you, no offense to anybody from Chicago, but I'm sure you guys understand. As a Cardinals fan, I have to hate the Cubs. In my opinion, it's definitely one of the best rivalries in sports, you know? I've always enjoyed a game against the Cubs, but I just honestly cannot stand them. I hate them so much. I was the only one of my friends who was rooting against them in 2016. Listen, I have tons of friends from Chicago. You know, I have tons of buddies who live there. St. Louis and Chicago aren't that far apart, you know. And so I love going to Cubs games with them. I love joking around with them about the Cubs and the Cardinals. But at the end of the day, you know, that's just how the rivalry is. I can't cheer them on for any success. So, you know, that's just how it is. You know, it's not even like Cubs players, they don't like St. Louis, right? There was that whole Chris Bryant thinks St. Louis is boring. I think that Anthony Rizzo went on an episode of Hot Ones a while ago and kind of trashed down on St. Louis. You know, I grew up in St. Louis, so, you know, that always kind of sucks, but I know that's just part of the rivalry. And they've had some good games over the years, you know? There have been a lot of good games in the Cardinals versus the Cubs rivalry, so that makes it better. I like it when both the Cardinals and the Cubs are good. It always makes for better baseball, but, man, sorry, I just can't like them very much. So who's my favorite Cubs player and why? I don't know if anybody here has looked it up, and maybe I'll put a clip in here and get this video demonetized. And actually, I think I will. I will put in a clip of Yadier Molina at the World Baseball Classic throwing out a base runner. And you know who's playing on Team Puerto Rico with him? Javier Baez. And listen, I would love for those two to team up again, make it an all-star game, make it a World Baseball Championship, make it the Olympics maybe, you know, any of those. Team up Yachty and Javi. Those two have so much fun playing baseball together, and it's just a joy to watch. So yeah, I think I'd have to say Javier Baez for the Cubs right now. You know, throughout their history, there's a lot of great Cubs players. They're obviously a pretty storied franchise. So, but right now, I gotta say Javi Baez. All right, so that's that question. Next up, this one is from Red Sox 62. He says, if you were to switch rivalries, would you become a Red Sox or a Yankees fan, and why? So, seeing as this is from a Red Sox account, you know, he obviously is probably looking for me to say Red Sox, and everybody hates the Yankees except for Yankees fans, which, you know, they're one of those old franchises that everyone feels like buys their wins. You know, they're just like the evil empire of baseball. That being said, if I had to pick a side on this rivalry, I would have to pick the New York Yankees. And the reason I say that is, let me describe to you the most important sports memories I have growing up. So, first off, in 2002, St. Louis Rams with Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, they make it to the Super Bowl. They've already won one, but now they're going for number 2, right? And I was super excited. I was super pumped to see them play. And they run into a team from Boston, led by a young guy named Tom Brady. And they don't win that Super Bowl. And so one of the earliest memories of my sporting life, you know, besides that Rams Super Bowl against the Titans, was the St. Louis Rams losing to got focused on the game real quick. Were the St. Louis Rams losing to a team from New England or Boston? So that sucked. That was my first displeasure for them. Then in 2004, my Cardinals made it to the World Series, and you know who they lost to? They lost to Boston. They lost to the Boston Red Sox, David Ortiz, and I think Dustin Pedroia was on that team. Kevin Youkilis was on there, but I don't think he played too much. That was a really good Red Sox team, and I watched them dismantle Scott Rowland and Jim Edmonds and Chris Carpenter, and it was Adam Wainwright, I think, was playing in a relief pitcher role that year. Yeah, it sucked. So then I kind of forgiven them, but in 2013, the Red Sox go, and David Ortiz bats like 500, and they beat the Cardinals again. So if you look back in my history of watching big sports games, it's basically the Cardinals losing to the Boston Red Sox, or the Rams losing to the New England Patriots. Luckily, recently, the Blues were able to beat the Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup. Took them 7 games, but that kind of gave me a little bit of retribution. Speaking of which, one of these questions, I kind of debated on answering this question, but you guys won't be able to figure out anything else anyway. Question 4, what state do you live in? So I grew up in Missouri, but I currently live in Alabama. I'm not going to tell you where, but that's where I currently reside. So, next up, we have a question from Ian Finnegan. Do you like hockey? If you do, I assume you like the Blues. As you could have probably told from my last story, yes, I do love hockey. I love the Blues. Them winning the Stanley Cup was absolutely huge. I went crazy that night. There have been a lot of good Blues players to come through St. Louis in my lifetime. Brett Hull was there. Obviously, Tarasenko is great. Chris Pronger. There have been a lot of good players in the St. Louis Blues organization. So, super fun to watch them growing up. It's kind of sucked to lose in a bunch of games up until, never win a cup. But 2019 Blues Stanley Cup win, that rectified all of it. So now I'm okay. I love it. I love hockey. I love the Blues. So, yeah, you called it. I'll ask you what team, if you're watching this, what team you're a fan of. And if anybody else on this channel likes watching hockey. So I saved my favorite question for last. And this should finish it off. And this question is, if you were given the chance to pick out one new Cardinal for each type of card in the game to be included, who will they be? They don't have to be obvious great ones. You can include your personal favorites who aren't particularly remembered by non-Cardinals fans like me. And so this one was asked by Silver Stealth. Okay. So I kind of took some time while I was away to think about this, and I think I've come up with some good answers. So, normal. He asked for a normal, a prime, a sig, a vintage, and a legend. So I think whatever normal card we get is going to match whatever signature card I end up picking, which is coming down the line. Next up for the prime, and ran out of arcade balls, so let me, I'm not going to reset that, but maybe I'll jump over to the new clutch hits mode. Is this the new clutch hits mode? I don't know if it's out yet. Nope, this doesn't look like the new one. I think they have... Yeah, this isn't it. They put you in like 6 different random situations. So this isn't new clutch hits, but that's coming soon. So for Prime, anyway, back to it. I'm going to go for 2004 Scott Rowland. He was a third baseman. A lot of people probably know him. He finished high in MVP voting that year. I think he was 4th. I love Scott Rowland.
great Cardinals player. The first signed baseball bat I ever had was a Scott Rowland signed bat. So Cardinals had a great year that year, and it's not exactly like we need third baseman, especially with Arenado here now. But a prime third baseman in Scott Rowland would be great. So next up is the SIG, and I'm going to go 1 year later for this. Instead of 2004, I'm going to move to 2005. I was considering him for the prime, but he is one of my favorite players of all time, and so I wanted to give him the best card possible. And so for SIG, I'm going for the 2005 Cy Young Award winner, Chris Carpenter. Super talented player, one of my favorite pitchers of all time, won a Cy Young. I would love to watch Chris Carpenter get a SIG, and then I would love to own that SIG. Which means if I were going to do a normal card, I would give Chris Carpenter a normal card so that people could land it and SIG change it. Next up, a vintage card. I think it would be really fun, and some people could argue that this would be legend, and I know it's never going to happen, but I think that they should put in the highest power card in the game and go for Mark McGwire 1998. You know what? If they were to put in Sammy Sosa at the same time, put those in as like two players, two vintages, maybe give them vintage SIGs, I don't know. Put Mark McGwire in the game. He'd have to be the best power hitter, right? I mean, the guy, him and Sammy Sosa had the best home run race of all time, even if there was a little bit of a juice involved. So, you could argue that he could be a legend, but the guy I picked for legend is a little bit more famous, or a little bit cleaner record in baseball history, and that's going to be Bob Gibson. Now, I think that the only season that you could pick for Bob Gibson would be the year that he absolutely dominated hitters. So much so that they had to lower the mound the next year to give batters a chance. Now, ERAs were low all across the league, but leading the way with a 1.12 ERA was Bob Gibson. Cy Young Award winner, MVP, All-Star, won a Golden Glove that year. That was 1968. If they put in a 1968 Bob Gibson card, I would forgive them for putting in a Cubs Bruce Sutter, which that just dropped today, and I'm excited for the new Legends, but another Cub, and the guy could have been a Cardinal, that really annoys me. So, yeah, I would go for Legend Bob Gibson. So, to go back over those, normal, I'm matching the SIG. I'd go Chris Carpenter. I'd give it to his 2005 season when he won the Cy Young. Prime, I'd have to go for Scott Rowland. Yeah, that was his best finish. He was really good that year. He'd probably have a high fielding, but he was also a pretty decent power hitter and pretty decent contact hitter. So, yeah, I would love to see Scott Rowland get in there. Vintage, there were a lot of options, but I'm just kind of thinking back from the guys from my life, and Mark McGwire is definitely the standout, and then Bob Gibson. Some other options here, we could have gone for Stan Musial. Bob Gibson's still alive to sign away his signing rights and sign away his likeness, which is how they get players for this game, right? They let players they go to old guys and they ask if they can use their likeness, and so Bob Gibson can still sign that away. Stan Musial can't, so I'd pick Bob Gibson over him. Maybe Rogers Hornsby would be another good one, but I would say in franchise history, Bob Gibson is probably the second best player. It'd probably be Stan Musial, Bob Gibson, then maybe Ozzie Smith, So, and that's retired. Albert Pujols would probably be up there too. It's a whole conversation, which, speaking of which, he's up to bat right now. So, yeah, so that's the rest of the AMA. I don't think I had any other questions. I appreciate you guys putting them forward, and I'm still working on farming. I will give you guys a full back to normal video next week. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I will talk to you on Monday. See you then.